My people, welcome back to the Open Play podcast. I'm your host today, Ikena, aka Reunited IK, joined by my co-host Dai, aka Statman Dai. How you feeling today, bro?
Fantastic today, my brother. How are you?
I'm not doing so good, man, because you're out here wearing that freaking jersey that you got straight from the source. Dai, how could you do this to me, bro? How could you do this to me?
It happens. Life happens.
So if you guys don't know, Dai went to Spain. And not only did he go to Spain, he went to Madrid. And not only did he go to Madrid, he went to the Bernabeu. And not only did he go to the Bernabeu, he got a Real Madrid jersey from the Bernabeu straight from the source. And he has the audacity to put that right in my face. How could you, bro? How could
It's
you?
it's, li- it's life. It's a nice jersey. We like it. It's very comfortable. Even got the wrong side. Got the badge. Champions League 15 times. You know. It's,
This was just they say that it be your homies, bro. Like it be your guys, and it does look nice on you. I can't lie, man. It does look
Really
nice
nice
on
jersey.
you. Yeah, but you guys have to apologize to you guys because we always say that we'll try and keep consistent and release episodes weekly, but unfortunately we haven't been able to release the past like week or two. And as I said in the previous episode that we did release, our schedules have kind of changed. I was still trying to sort out like the best days to record and the best days to release. So sorry about that, but we're going to try and give you guys content consistently still. And we're going to start today because, as you guys know, teams have been announcing that 26-man squad for the upcoming World Cup. I've seen the likes of France do so. And they're saying that England are going to be announcing the 26-man squad this coming week, I think on Friday, May 22nd or something. They're going to be announcing the 26-man squad. And if you guys keep with our content, you know that me and Dave did an episode where we essentially picked the 26-man squad that we think that England should call up after the last international break. And unfortunately, a few players were not able to make that squad. They were unlucky to not make that squad. But I think there have been two players who have really put up a fight since then and are really making a case for themselves to make that squad. And those two players are Morgan Gibbs-White and Kobbie Mainoo. So we're going to talk about that and discuss them and see if they've done enough to make that 26-man squad. But Daye, what do you think? We'll
So I
start with
want to.
Morgan Gibbs-White, actually.
Yeah, that's actually where I wanted to start because I think that of the two, like I think, and maybe you're not going to like what I say. I
Mm.
just like think the Gibbs White case is just like far more solid. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's come on a long in recent times since basically against game against Brighton. The score what I'm looking at here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals as well as 3 assists, 2 assists rather. So 10 goal contributions basically since the start of March. He's effectively been a one-man wrecking crew in dragging Forest out of the relegation fight. I think they would have not really been in it, but I think that any uncertainty that was there was quickly quashed by a lot of his, particularly his efforts. He's been really effective. Just today against United, he scored again. Um, like just an exceptional, like versatile, like midfield. Like for a very long time, like Gibbs White has been like this, like it's like a channel 10 where like
Mm-hmm.
he kind of drifts in and around pockets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit like there's a little bit of KDB there where like
Mm-hmm.
he's a
He
he's a
just to
cam,
like
but
the left
he
pocket.
drifts. Yeah, he drifts to the left pocket and he's trying to like find space to combine and connect with his teammates and everything. But in particular, he started a lot on the left hand side. He just been played as like a winger. Of course, he's still allowed to come in a lot and combine, like I mentioned before. But like the stuff he's just like been able to do is just incredible. Um, just like a really technically gifted midfielder. Goals are now like coming along, even though like I think technique has always been there. So like being bullish on like him as a finisher is not really that difficult. Um, like shots on target are up. He's finally hitting one again now. Was at 0.7 last season. Total shots up as well, 2.4 up from 2.1 last season. Key passes are down, but like again, like we've already spoken about, if your goals are coming up, I think you can neglect having like not being that involved in that
Yeah.
sense. I'm not that too concerned about that, and I think at the same time the workload, particularly in being like a block breaker, has been taken on by like especially Ellis Anderson. So I think that the
Mhm.
role definition kind of has changed there in some regards. I just think he's like a really fascinating player. Like I was really upset when Spurs didn't sign him last season because I just
Yeah,
think he's such like he's very mature. He's very like he's comfortable coming back to pick the ball up. He's like good in the final third. He's decisive. Like, and if we're now talking about a midfielder that is like adding like really tangible goals to his game, yeah, I think he makes the England squad. But like, so part of this conversation we have to have here is twofold because and get on to Mainoo as well. Like at some point, I think we need to get players out
yeah, for
as well
sure.
as like because we can't just say like oh like this player should come in. Like, we also
Yeah,
have to be talking about who's coming out. And like I'm not entirely sure who that player is going to be. So, but we'll come on to it. But like
yeah,
Gibbs-White, like really fascinating player. Just like the exceptional like kind of guys you want to have around. Clearly works hard. Clearly cares a lot. We
yeah.
need to even talk about the fact that like he broke his skull, and like
Exactly.
that has not seemed to meant anything to him whatsoever. He's just like
Still
oh,
performing.
so I hate to like to go on a tangent here, but like it's actually very scary that he's playing right now. I know he's exceptionally good. I would have shut him down for the rest of the season. I'm going to be very honest with you. That
Oh
injury
wow.
was scary. That injury
Yeah,
was
it
scary.
was.
Like his skull and like that's a scar that's going to be there for life. I cannot believe that he's playing. Um, I can't even believe he was on the bench for their game against Villa.
Yeah,
Quite big balls.
that was actually crazy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he's pushing on, and it's clear that he really, really wants to make that England team. And I think
yeah,
that he has done everything in his power to make that England team since that last call up for England, since the last friendly for England. Morgan Gibbs-White has scored 6 goals and he has had 2 assists as well in 9 games since then. He almost single-handedly saved Nottingham Forest from the relegation zone, scoring a hat trick against Burnley and a goal and assist against Sunderland. He took his team to the Europa League quarter-final against the Portuguese league champions, as we well know now, Porto, and he took them to the semi-finals. And I don't want to say the only reason why they lost is because he wasn't there, but as I stated, he was injured for the second leg and he was on the bench. They won the first leg 1-0. They lost the second leg like 4-1 or something, if I'm not mistaken. So him not being on the pitch was clearly a difference maker. So this is somebody who has carried his team on his back and he has done that impossible task of just like being a one man machine in some sense. Like I know Elliot Anderson and other players are still like contributing to everything that Nottingham Forest is doing right now, but he has almost been a one man machine, and I think that he has done enough to at least be considered for that England squad. And you are right in the sense that like we do need to start cutting out players. Like it's not just about like oh he should make the squad, but I'm looking at his competition right now in the sense of like Foden and Palmer. Those are the two people that were kind of like jostling with for that final like calm slash wing spot. And since then, those guys have not done anything. Since that last call up, since the last episode that we did on England, those guys haven't done anything. Like I know Foden had like 1 or 2 good games the last previous games, but if you're comparing 1 or 2 games to everything that Morgan Gibbs-White has done, then that would just be a stupid argument. I think that he has done enough to at least be in the running with these 2 guys, and the only reason why they would make it over him is because of their pedigree with England, and it's not because of merit. It's not because they deserve it, but only because of that pedigree with England. But I think we've gotten to a point where we already have so many players with just as much pedigree in the England team, if not more, in the sense of like Saka, in the sense of like Kane, in the sense of like Rashford, where it's like we have enough of these players who have been here before and who have done it before. These 2 players, Foden and Palmer, have not done much with the England national team. Is there really any point of like taking them over a player who is showing that like he's on form going into this tournament, who is showing that like at least let me be considered for this tournament? Is there really any point given the experience they already have in the team? I don't know. I'm not saying that it should be a flat out Morgan Gibbs White making the team, but I think that it's a conversation that needs to be had. I think once upon a time it wasn't really a conversation. I remember I was classing him as like an injury replacement and just being like it's probably not going to happen. But now I think that there's a very good chance that it's going to happen, especially given what has been given Tottenham Forest for this past like 9 to 10 games that he has played since England's last international break. So yeah, I think that there's a very good chance that he makes the team, in my opinion. But the next player that we need to talk about is Kobbie Mainoo. I know you said that you don't think his argument is that strong, but let me hear what you have to say about it.
I guess I just don't get it. Like the main thing to me has just been like a perplexing case of like a player that I just fundamentally don't seem to understand. Like Mainoo is like a very like smooth player, but like if I'm being honest with you, I don't like really know like where like the conversations finishes after that. He clearly like still needs like somebody in midfield beside him who can like actually do like out of possession work, like in a real time. Like you cannot play him with like if he is like the guy that is like effectively doing all the dirty work in your team, like you're finished. You're like actually
Yeah,
like
I
so
agree.
like so like he doesn't do that. The end product is like when I say end product, I'm not talking about like finishing. I'm talking about like final balls, like being able to like put a ball into the box, and it's clearly not there yet. Like he's still like coming along, and again, like he's 21, like he turned 21 in April, so like he's not like I like it's a bit unfair. Like I'm like he's not Gibbs-White, he's not 26, he's not like a player that's coming to his prime. He clearly has lots of things to do, but I'm just like talking his like I'm just want to have a conversation about his game here because I guess like anytime I see him play. I just like don't like fundamentally get like the excitement. Like I understand like for his age group, like he's very mature. Like I said, he's a very smooth player. Like he does a lot of stuff that like I would probably class as like maybe the argument is that he's an impact player. And when I say impact, as in like stuff that doesn't show up in like your box score. So like your key passes, your big chances created, your like constant like shuffling of the ball, like, and I mean, when I say shuffling, I mean like progressing it across the side and just keeping like the tempo ticking. Everything he does is almost like it's like I think it's like connected. It's almost like
Mm-hmm.
he's getting the ball from point A to point B by way of getting the guy who can actually do getting the ball from deep guy that can do things to front guy that can do things. And effectively, what I'm suggesting here is that his job is that he's just exceptionally good at like finding players like Bruno who actually are able to place out the
Win
final ball,
matches.
win matches. And so like that kind of player. And of course, like he's like a clearly there's a very consistent baseline you're going to get out of him. Like he doesn't like certainly not since Carrick has been hired has he looked like Amorim just didn't go to him at all. And
Yeah,
like I think we'll have like many conversations, many people have conversations as to, you know, that was he just wasn't an Amorim player or like Amorim was wrong. And we can have these conversations at nauseum. Like I I I I don't want to say Amorim was right, but like I think a lot of people like because Amorim was not very good, and I don't even know if that was entirely true because like the underlying numbers still say like United under Carrick and United under Amorim are like more or less the same team. Like they haven't been drastically better. They've just been clearly been able to finish like games off now. Like they I think like Carrick's biggest skill hasn't been anything like special, but like clearly players respect him, players want to play for him, and players like he's clearly instilled confidence in his team. And so we will see going forward now, especially now that he has agreed to stay at the club. I think it was 2 or 3 years. I
2 years.
think 2 years an extension for a third.
Yeah,
We'll clearly kind of get an idea, proper better idea of Carrick as a manager, especially at this level, because I know at I believe it was Borough, he was actually a very good manager in the championship. So
Middlesbrough.
like yeah, so it's not really a question of like is Carrick a good manager yet? I think that's like negligence. I think Carrick's job was very specifically just about instilling confidence, and like I don't think United are that much drastically different to when they were under Amorim. But all besides this point, where I bring that up is that clearly Amorim didn't trust aspects of his game. I probably wanted a very different profile. Now that's like tactical. It doesn't need to necessarily mean that Mainoo is not a good player. But I do clearly still think that there are flaws in his game. And again, I must emphasize this is a 21-year-old player. So of course the expectations and the conversations we're having about here are just vastly different. But I suppose like and I want to ask you like maybe because you watch him more on a game to game basis. Because I feel like anytime I see him play, I'm just like not there. So
Mhm.
like yeah, I want to kind of pick your brain about like what you see and what you think about it in general.
So Menu is very much what I like to call like a ball retainer because I think that in your team, if you have a midfield three, I think that there's three midfield profiles that you need to have. You have, like your chance creator, like your Bruno Fernandez. You have like your destroyer, like your Casemiro, Chouameni type, and then you need a ball retainer in those three. like a Kobbie Mainoo, just somebody that keeps the ball, someone that keeps it simple, that doesn't do anything too expansive. Because the thing about your chance creator and your destroyer is that they're doing expansive things. Like your destroyer, for example, is getting into like harsh tackles that can lead to like yellow cards, lead to like fouls. And in a Manchester United team that has Casemiro, who is very much forward thinking, a lot of progressive passes over the top, like he's doing expansive stuff, both off and on the ball. And then you have a Bruno Fernandes who we very much know is just all about the chances created. Like he's going to try and create chance after chance in games. I think that when you have those two profiles of players, you need a Kobbie Mainoo type. You need somebody who is just going to keep it simple, who his main job is maintaining possession and, like you clearly stated, like being the link between like himself and that calm and himself and that midfield and that destroyer. So you have three guys and you have one guy who is just like the link between the three of them. Like he's getting the ball to Bruno Fernandes, he's getting the ball to Casemiro, he's linking with them, he's linking with the wingers, he's linking with everybody, right? So he's very much like a connecting player where, like, he's connecting the dots, he's getting the ball from point A to point B, like you clearly stated. On the point of Amorim, I understand why Amrim did not want him in his team, right? I understand why he didn't feel like Kobbie Mainoo was like the right profile, because Amrim's system required the midfielders to kind of be a kind of like one man army. Like they were on their own, they were on an island on their own where they have to deal with stuff on their own because there was so much space between them, so much space between all the players, right? Because we had the two in midfield, they had to cover this side, they had to cover this side, right? And that's not very suited to Kobbie Mainoo's strength because he's very good at like linking, like I said, like he wants people close to him rather than people far away from him. And then he's like he doesn't have like that much legs in him, right? So also like he's struggling to like cover that much ground and everything. So I understand why Amram did not play him in the system, but I've always said this as well, that a system that cannot make room for like your better players is not a good system in my opinion. Like it can be a good system in general, but if you go to a team that has Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Mainoo, and Casemiro, and you don't think that these three players should work the way Carrick has made it work, but you're playing players like Ugarte in that system just to make your system work and it's not even working to full effect, then what are we doing here? If we're playing Ugarte in midfield and we were winning, then it would be like, okay, you know what, fair enough. Like we're winning at the end of the day, it's working, but it just clearly wasn't working under Amrim. So again, I understand why Amrim was doing what he did because Mainoo did not work in his system, but I don't think that was a good system for Manchester United. So like it didn't fit the player's strength, and that's kind of what Carrick has done. Carrick has come and he has kind of like made sure that all the players are playing to their strength. Bruno is doing what he likes to do best. Casemiro is doing what he likes to do best. Kobbie Mainoo is doing what he likes to do best. Playing in a team that fits their strengths. That's what Amorim failed to do, and that's what Carrick is doing right now. So I just think that what Mainoo brings to a team is just that calm composure on the ball, and I just think that he's a nice player for you to have in your side. Like he might not be the most expansive player. He might not do things that come up on the stat sheet and things that are very exciting, but I think that he's a very nice player to have in your team.
So, and I want to like pick that last point you made there about like having nice players in the team. Like, do you think it is worth it having like nice players in your teams if you have to almost accommodate for them? And again, like I feel like I have to say it multiple times, but we're talking about a 21-year-old here, and so like some of this conversation might be redundant in 3 years, but like it's worth having right now because that is where we are at right now. Especially with a team that is about to play in the Champions League, a team that's going to play a lot. Like it's one thing when like you're playing 38 games, maybe an FA Cup, 2, 3 FA Cup games, 2, 3 League Cup games, and that's it. Next season, this team is going to like need a lot more firepower in the middle. See, like United are obviously going to go out and spend lots of money on to buy a midfielder. At least we hope they will. And
Mhm.
so, like, I'm asking myself, like, when Mainoo is tasked with playing maybe 2,500, 3,000 minutes a season, and you said like the legs are kind of not there yet. Like, is there any concern with a player that just like not that it doesn't offer anything. I don't think that that's a fair point, but like a player that like clearly like we agree that like I don't say he's a luxury player because he's not a luxury player in that sense, but in the sense that like we are talking about a player that you have to have this, you have to have that.
Yeah,
He
like you
can't be
need,
this,
like
he
you
can't
need,
be that.
yeah.
There needs to be an infrastructure around him for him to make sense.
Hmm.
And so like do you think going forward that like he's going to get better? Let me
Yeah,
preface this right now. Let's assume he never gets better. Is this a player that feasibly can make a career at Manchester United? Assuming
I
that this is the player you have.
I think so. I think so. I think 100% because these sorts of players, right? Like because I don't think Kobe Mainoo is a specialist player, but I would
I don't
say
think
that
so either.
yeah, he's not a specialist player because there's nothing he really specializes in. I would say, but at the same time, like
I think that's actually my problem with him. And I want to just preface like he's not even in the way that like I think Elliot Anderson doesn't specialize in anything. But I really just like Elliot Anderson because the baseline like of the amount of things he gives you, I just think is like drastically different to Mainoo. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah, go on.
definitely. No, definitely. And he's a player that you have to make up for. But I don't mind making up for a player when what he brings to your team is tangible. I know, like I said, like some of the things that he does is not tangible in terms of like the stats, but what he brings to your team is tangible. Because I look at a specialist player or a player who is also limited in terms of like off the ball movement, like Adam Watson. I still think that Adam Watson, I've made this point to you multiple times. I think that Adam Watson is a player who is worth it to have in your team, even if you have to make up for the stuff that he doesn't bring off the ball. And if I'm looking at both of them, Kobe Mainoo definitely brings a lot more off the ball than Adam Watson does. I think that Kobe Mainoo gets into tackles more. I think that he tries to do more on the defensive side of his game than an Adam Watson. And we're talking about Adam Watson going to the England national team, right? And we're talking about him being like I don't say a given, but like, he has to make the England squad. So I'm looking at Kobe Mainoo, who does all these things that can help a team, like really push a team forward. And like I said, these things are not necessarily like winning you games, but these are kind of those low key things that you just need in games. Like I've seen Manchester United play without Kobe Mainoo, and I've seen them play with Kobe Mainoo, and there's a big difference, right? Like that Leeds game that we lost 2-1, for example, Kobe Mainoo wasn't there, and our midfield was in shambles. Next game, he played against Chelsea, man of the match. He played a game against Liverpool, man of the match. Played a game against Brentford, very good game. These are three, like, it's just clear difference between when he's there and when he's not there. He brings a certain calm in midfield that I think is needed in a team like Manchester United that can be so chaotic. And like I said, the reason why I say nice to have is not because he's a luxury player. I say nice to have because a lot of teams lack this profile in their midfield. A lot of teams actually need this profile, but because what he does is not that exciting, it's not a thing that people are like, oh my god, like this is what we're lacking. It's almost the thing that you don't notice that you need until you have it, and you're like, oh, we can't do without this. And I think that's what Manchester United fans have seen in Kobe Mainoo in the sense of like he has what we need, and when he's not there, he's clearly lacking. So I think that he is a player that like he's going to improve. I don't think there's like I don't want to be theoretical and say if he doesn't improve because I think he is going to improve. But even if he doesn't
Absolutely.
improve, like even if he doesn't like his skill doesn't go that high, I still think that what he brings to a game is very tangible. And I think that it might not help us win games directly, but indirectly it helps us win games.
Yeah, I think that's it. So okay, so let's do the exercise like one more time. So Bellingham, Rice, Anderson are the three I would say. Maybe Rogers. I don't feel great about it, but clearly he's probably going to go.
Yeah,
So those four I think are the guys that you're almost definitely going to take, like no question.
yeah.
Then we have like who are
So you
is
have
this seven
Ghana,
we went?
Henderson, and Watson.
So that's our seven.
That's our seven. The remaining two, yeah.
That's it. That's like really tough because the guy that almost immediately stands out that I think would probably get cut for one of the two is probably James Garner. But I just don't want to cut James Garner because like the whole point of taking James Garner is that you're taking a midfielder who is extremely robust out of possession, like exceptional with a winning duels, exceptional tackler, exceptional at just like being able to do all the dirty work and like I wouldn't call him a destroyer, so to say, but like quite clearly, like he feels very confident, going for tackles, like doing all the like heavy leg work, like putting in real minutes, like he's a minute stopper basically, like on the
Yeah,
season, 8.89, 9.8 minutes per 90, basically. Effectively, he's playing like 90 minutes every single game across a 37 game season. He's been as available as you can be across the stretch of the entire season.
yeah.
Like so I don't feel confident and comfortable like getting rid of a player that does this much of the ball. And so like we're basically left with like I think it's just Watson really.
So
So like
I think the way I'm looking at it here is we have different profiles of midfielders, right? Like we have Anderson kind of being that like all action 6/8. We have Bellingham that 8/10 can even potentially be a 6. We have Rogers who is more of like a calm slash winger. We have Rice who is that box destroyer, box to box player and everything, right? So we have all these different profiles of midfielders, and then you're not doing like your Ghana, your Henderson, and your Watson, right? I don't see a player who kind of links the defense and the attack. Like I see multiple profiles. I see very useful profiles. I see Ghana's profile being very useful. I see Watson's profile being very useful. But when you're talking about a player who like links the defense and the attack, who links this other midfielder to this attacking midfielder, or links this guy to this winger, who just links the play. I don't see that profile. And for international football, I'm very much a fan of having every profile that you need in the squad. I think that in terms of off the ball work, I think you have Anderson, who is very good off the ball. We know Rice, who we very much know is good off the ball. You have Benham, who is good off the ball. Like you have all these players who are good off the ball, right? And I'm not saying that like you could always have more. You want all your players to be good off the ball, very, very good off the ball. James Garner is very, very good off the ball, right? But if I have three players who are as good off the ball as these three guys that I've mentioned, and I don't have a player who kind of links things, who kind of just makes things tick in midfield, like it could be Mainoo, I'm going to be looking at that and thinking, if I can get one of these players on the plane, I would. And if I have to sacrifice one of these other players, I might have to consider it, right? And I'm not saying, like, I think James Garner very much deserves to be on that plane. And I'm not even saying that it needs to be him that gets taken off. But what I'm talking about is, I don't see a player with Kobbie Mainoo's profile. It might not be needed. Maybe they don't even play him. Maybe they play him for like 10 minutes in the entire World Cup. Might not be needed, but just because of the possibility that there will be a game where it is needed is why I'll vouch for them taking Kobbie Mainoo because of his profile and not just his profile, but because of what he's actually doing on the pitch. I think he has done enough to be in the conversation, and I think that his profile kind of boosts his case in terms of there's no other player with his profile in that England midfield.
I think that's ultimately fair. I don't. I think I'm looking more so as just like I want. I because and another thing like that goes into this is that I need as many like I just need as much as I can get. And so I'm kind of like doing the debate in my head as to like just like when I say just as much as I can get, I just need especially so two things. Firstly, like you and I already agree that like I think you need obviously like the way this is going to happen is that guys who have played for England consistently and like have done so in large stretches are always going to be more favored than the guys that have because they understand role definition, they understand like what exactly is going to happen, they know how it works, they understand they have like they have a framework in their minds as to what an England camp looks like. And it's not to say that some of these guys don't. I think like that was like I don't think there's a single player we've mentioned that hasn't been called up before. Like Mainoo has played there. Mainoo has played and started. Like Ghana, I think has two caps. White, I believe, has six or something like that. Like we're talking about players that obviously like play for
Yeah.
England. We're not talking about like completely but we're not talking about like, taking a risk on a guy and like maybe like it works or it doesn't work. So I guess like I'm just like thinking to myself, like I guess like Mainoo does have more like England experience than Ghana. So I think that's also kind of part of it. And maybe that's like the swing case. I don't know. I really would feel bad about like having to leave someone like James Garner because I just don't. Like, he's so good. The level of consistency he shows, he's so mature. Like he's so good off the ball. It kind of just
He,
sucks to leave a guy like this out.
no,
It
he's definitely
really
like a very
sucks.
good player, and you know how much I love James Garner. He's a Manchester United academy boy. I didn't want him
Just
to
like
leave Manchester
such.
United, but I don't know. Like I'm not saying that. Like I said, I'm not saying it has to be him, but I'm just saying that, like you said, at some point we do need to have start cutting players. We talked about Foden and Palmer, and maybe one of them get cut in for the sake of Morgan Gibbs-White, and one of these seven midfielders might have to be cut.
We'll see. I'm glad that it's not us that has to make the decision.
Facts.
And like of course you have to make the call to guys and tell them that they're not coming and everything. So like it's kind of it's heartbreaking
Yeah.
for people, I can imagine, especially when you
Yeah.
work your entire season and do everything you can to make the team.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
tough, man.
it's
It's
tough.
tough.
It's tough.
And
It's
like
tough.
you said, thank God we don't have to make decision, but
Yeah.
we're just stating our opinion and we would like to hear you guys' opinion as well. Let us know in the comments if you think Mainoo and Morgan Gibbs-White have done enough to make this England national team. And if they have, who gets cut from the team? And let us know your 26-man squad for England as well. But with that comes the end of this episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. You know, we always appreciate it. And we hope to see you guys again next time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you made it this far, follow us on social media, the Open Play Pod on X, Instagram, and TikTok. And yeah, we'll try and keep consistent and hope to see you guys again next time. Safe.